Hello there, it's Thursday, 18th of November 2021. Greetings from Rwanda's capital, Kigali. This is what makes our top stories tonight. East African countries, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, have pledged to work together to eradicate malaria.
The former registrar of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Dieng, has noted that although this court of law did not achieve all expected goals, its functioning has left lessons to the justice sector.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And my name is Martina Awera.
Straight to business, Martina.
Yes, so starting off, the former registrar of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Dieng, has noted that although this court of law did not achieve all expected goals, its functioning has left lessons to the justice sector. This was said during the international conference aimed at reviewing what has been achieved by Rwanda's justice system after the 1994 genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi in the country.
Dieng, former registrar of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, said in his remarks that based on the lessons learned from the genocide against the Tutsi, everyone has a responsibility to prevent hatred and ensure that justice is served to those that still promote genocide ideology. We know the consequences of the hatred that was spread all over the country, which fueled the preparation and execution of the genocide against the Tutsi. For that reason, we have to promote unity and cooperation. We should also bring to justice those who still deny the genocide against the Tutsi. Egide Nkuranga, the chairperson of Ibuka, an umbrella body of associations that support genocide survivors, emphasized that the ICTR was generally beneficial and that it left some lessons. The establishment of the Arusha Tribunal was very important because some suspects were brought to justice, which indeed reinforces the fact that the genocide against the Tutsi happened. Survivors also had their testimonies heard, so the outcome was really good because even genocide deniers have no base now. In case another tribunal is to be established, they need to consider compensation and also the trauma of survivors. The head of the International Justice and Judicial Cooperation Department in Rwanda's Ministry of Justice, Umurungi Providence, reiterated that the justice served at the ICTR was influential and significant to the international scale.
Think about what it would have been like in 1994 and 1995 if the ICTR was not established. The fact that it was established and forced other countries to work with Rwanda was very significant, and we are happy the top genocide architects were brought to justice. I see this as a great yield in the field of international justice.
The former registrar of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Dieng, stressed that international community should have considered the trauma of the survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi because it has and is still a major problem. I would say that the trauma has left a mark on Rwandan society. I have often said that the international community has never thought about justice for genocide survivors because as we speak, they still face great trauma from the genocide against the Tutsi. That is why Rwanda as a country needs to be given more attention in this regard and the survivors cared for because living close to them helps them to develop. The International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, ICTR, was established in the direct aftermath of the genocide against the Tutsi. It closed its doors in 2015 and was replaced by the International Residuum Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals. And of course, to other matters, East African countries, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, have pledged to work together to eradicate malaria. These countries have officially launched a 5-year project that will focus on malaria prevention. Jen Motoni has the report.
In the Chunuzi marshland, where rice is grown in Kirehe district, delegates from 7 countries were explained to how Rwanda uses drones to fight malaria. This new method, together with other anti-malaria strategies used in Rwanda and in other East African countries, will be addressed by these countries through a 5-year project. The project was officially launched at the Rusumo border between Rwanda and Tanzania.
Iyi gahunda yo kurwanya malaria mu karere kacu
The program to fight malaria in our area involves a collection of strategies of fighting malaria in unity with our neighboring countries and aim at working as one force rather than each country doing it on its own. Yet the disease knows no bounds. Hence, it is no use for one side to take preventive measures while the other doesn't.
The Kenyan Deputy Health Minister, Rashid Amani, says that the anti-malaria project will further strengthen ties between East African Community member countries.
The focus here is what can we do together at the borders. I think this is important, not only from the point of getting the best impact from our operations, but it is also something that will strengthen our relationship as member states that border each other.
While East African countries are battling with malaria, Rwanda has made significant progress in preventing it, with 4.5 million malaria cases registered 5 years ago and just 1.5 million during the 2020-2021 fiscal year. The last time I contracted malaria was in July 1997, and I'm grateful to the government for raising awareness among people, encouraging us to sleep in treated mosquito nets and trying to supply them to everyone, especially pregnant women and even children below the age of 5 in the period during which they are vaccinated. The Rwandan Health Minister, Dr. Daniel Ngamije, commends health counselors for their role in reducing malaria in Rwanda. Jane Mutoni, RTV News.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Central Bank of Rwanda gave commercial banks the right to renew loans in order to facilitate the borrowers as their activities were disrupted by the pandemic. This has resulted in a revaluation of 776 billion Rwandan francs, or 28%. Jane Mutoni with more.
Loans that were provided to the private sector in 2020-2021 increased by 28.7%, while in the previous year it was at an average of 26.4%. Economic analysts pointed out that this interest in private sector lending is contributing to the recovery of the country's overall economy, which has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The COVID-19 impacted the economy of Rwanda in various ways. The fact that the flow of goods and services wasn't easy because of lockdown and restriction movements, that hindered the employment and even the flow of commodities from one place to the other. So if people are not employed and are not working, it means they are not earning anything. So there were that kinds of loss in jobs, but also loss in stock, because some products or commodities were perishable in a very short of time. So that impacted actually the economy of Rwanda.
Non-performing loans, on the other hand, have gone from 5.5% in 2019-2020 to 5.7% in 2020-2021 in the banking sector, while in small and medium-sized enterprises, the average rate decreased to 6.7%. However, in the previous year, these unsecured loans were at a rate of 12.8%. The governor of the Central Bank of Rwanda, John Rwagomga, explained to both parliaments that it has been agreed upon that the debts of bank customers should be renewed for at least 4 years.
We realized that people were going to face challenges of not being able to pay back their debts. Usually, a person is not allowed to reevaluate their loan more than 2 times, and also once a person starts to reevaluate their loan, they are then moved to a watch category. Due to the pandemic, we decided to allow banks to reevaluate people's loans up to 4 times, depending on the negotiations.
Banking profits have continued to rise over the past 2 years as they rose from 33 billion Rwandan francs to 56 billion Rwandan francs in the fiscal year that ended in June 2021. Some of the delegates' views were demanding to know why market prices continue to rise and why the value of the Rwandan currency continues to lose out on foreign exchange.
How is the depreciation of Rwandan franc associated with the gradual rise in prices? When commercial banks are collecting money from BNR, they pay them a profit of 4%, yet when a person is getting money from the bank, 11% profit is collected. So my question is, as we know in the recent years, BNR profit rate was at 7%, and after that, they've been reducing it. How is this linked to the interest rate which banks are requiring from clients?
The National Bank of Rwanda says the growth rate of the Rwandan economy and its imports are increasing, hence the value of the country's currency continues to depreciate, and that this does not prevent the economy from rising because it is expected to rise by 10% this year. BNR's report for the 2020-2021 fiscal year shows that while the country has continued to struggle with the effects of COVID-19 pandemic, this did not prevent her gross domestic product from growing at a rate of 4.4% compared to 2.3% during the previous fiscal year. Jane Motoni, RTV News.
Gracious Jane. Moving ahead, as Rwandans prepare to mark Taxpayers' Day at national level on Friday, our colleague Bosco Kwizera caught up fast with economic analyst Asrato Habyarimana to ask him a few questions about the importance of taxpayers to a country's economy, and this is the answer he got.
Very important for a country to become self-reliant, as we said, because other sources of funding for the public budget are not really reliable, as I can say. And some of them actually come with some conditions, terms and conditions, which in some cases are not really very friendly to a country. Let's say, for example, if you can rely on donor money, donor might have other priorities, and the priorities change without notice. You have realized, for example, in 2013, that at some point they said, no, we withdraw our support. They can do it anytime. So the other source is we can borrow. But the problem with the borrowed money is that it comes with a cost. We have to pay interest on top of the money we have borrowed. And sometimes also, you might not be lucky enough to get a credit or a loan from specialized sources. And the other source is investment, income from government investment, public investment. And in some cases, yes, it works, but in some other cases it doesn't, because actually the government is not an investor, a professional investor. In some cases, the investment fails. And when it doesn't fail, the profit is really not enough to cover all the expenses the government has to cover. So that's why actually taxes are really important because of that reliability, but also the flexibility we have in spending, in collecting and spending them, irrespective of other terms and conditions, just based on government priorities and and public interest.
Well, Bosco Kwizera also spoke by phone to Jean-Paul Uitonze, who is the spokesperson of the Rwanda Revenue Authority, and asked him about the difficulties taxpayers sometimes face because of the technological problems that rise from time to time when using things like electronic billing machines or EBMs, as they are commonly referred to, and the fact that some traders might actually need training on how to properly use them.
This is an issue that we've encountered as we went down to the taxpayers to meet them and have a discussion on the challenges they're encountering in terms of complying to their tax obligations. We found an issue of network, which we realized in some areas of the country. And we are doing the advocacy that is needed in the right institutions to ensure that the issue is considered in their plan in order to ensure that all the taxes that have to be collected that are associated to the purchases of taxpayers, the buyers, are all obtained. So, yeah, we are working on that, and we request the taxpayers who face that kind of issue to always show that it was a challenge of the network, because we've gotten a few taxpayers or businessmen who refuse to issue the EBM receipts intentionally, we can face a challenge on identifying who intentionally was not willing to offer the EBM receipt or who faced a challenge of the network. So as we do the audit and verification on the site, we request them to inform us on those challenges in case they find them, so that we don't consider them as non-compliant. Coming to the training requested, the trainings on EBM, we are aware of that challenge, and it was due to the restrictions of COVID-19, whereby physical meetings were not allowed. But as the measures are being lifted and slow by slow, we are also we have also started to offer the trainings that are needed. But I have to highlight that whenever we have to issue an EBM system, we always give the necessary skills to operate the system. But it might happen that when you're trained, you don't retain everything at once. So we are going to do the other trainings across the country, and we have actually started that. And we believe that with the easier restrictions on COVID-19, that this challenge is going to be sorted out. However, on the other hand, we can say that those who are familiar with technological platforms, we have uploaded our trainings or tutorials on our YouTube channel, whereby they can access all the trainings that they might be in need of, so that at least it facilitates those who can browse the YouTube. And we encourage them to visit our channel. It's Rwanda Revenue on YouTube, so that they can get access to the trainings that they are in need of.
On to other matters. The Rwanda Land Management and Use Authority launched the Rwanda National Spatial Data Infrastructure, an online platform that will be used to access information about individual plots. This institution has noted that this technology is reliable and will solve problems regarding people's plots. Olive Nhede with the story.
Some of the local residents say that this technology of Rwanda National Spatial Data Infrastructure will help them because they no longer have to go to the sector to access all information about their land.
This program is great because we have been facing challenges. When you buy a land, you have the consent of the owner. Then during the transfer of the land deeds, you find it difficult, or in that program of infrastructural activities, you find that the road will pass through that land, or it is for agriculture. So when you try to build in that land, you face various challenges, but that new technology will help us to access all information through the mobile phone. This will help us to follow up on our lands and know information about the usage of the land.
The Director General and Chief Registrar of Land Titles, Esperance Mukamana, points out that this system that has been launched comes as a solution to solve people's problems about land information and land security, for they will be receiving such information as they please and on time. We are making it easy for the residents to access information in a reliable way without going to our institution or even calling the staff. They even showed us how a person can log in, and they gave us an example of the master plan of Gicumbi, where logging in requires a UPI of your land, and then you get access to all information. So this technology will help residents to log in that system and get all information about their land, including diagrams. Residents don't have to come to the institution. The Minister of ICT and Innovation, Paola Ingabire, has noted that this new technology is an opportunity for entrepreneurs that want to build.
It's an opportunity for the population, whether it's people that are in the research community, whether it's startups that are building ideas or businesses, to really make use of this platform and hub that we are putting to their disposal, because availing data is one of the many support interventions that government puts in place to support entrepreneurship and innovation.
The Ministry of Environment observed that Rwandans being able to access information without difficulties is a solution that will improve proper land usage. Olive Nete, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news and technical team that made it happen, thank you very much for being with us. My name is Sam Kalisa.
And my name is Martina Evera. Stay safe.
And have a good night.